this game up amongst a couple arms just to everybody get some action and get going this early in season.
Addie Gasso, in her 30th year, has been consistent about that fact. The opening pitch of the 2024 season is a strike for Nicole May. Benny looking to slap right away. So tough to do that against a pitcher like Nicole May. But that's where Benny excels. The vocal leader for this Utah team sits right atop the Utah Valley order.
And Nicole May's not going to overpower this lineup. She's not upper 60s, 70s type pitcher, but she has a lot of spin and a lot of movement. And as you mentioned, when there's a ton of movement on the ball, if you're running through the box, often it is hard to time that up. Nicole May can work all quadrants. You can see her go up in the zone there with an 0-2 count, but she can also work down and use her off speed incredibly well.
That one looped into left, and no issue with speedy Riley Boone.
Riley Boone makes the catch for the first out.
And so we see Brittany Moreno next up. Behind her, it'll be Hallie Morris, Angelique Mann, Megan Gibbs, Maya Higuereta, Libby Hawker, Peyton Hall, and Lenny Bettencourt. The opening 9 for the Wolverines of Utah Valley.
Nicole May going Moreno right at these Utah Valley hitters. 5 pitches, 5 strikes.
Yep, not wasting any time. One of the all-time strikeout artists at OU, and it's not very difficult to see how thus far. That's how you know it's moving, when the batter's getting out of the way of a strike.
She's working that screwball a lot away to Benny, the first at bat, going in there to Moreno. Have to give it to the Wolverines, though. They are being aggressive. Quite a few foul balls this early in the first 2 at bats.
You have to mention that was the message from Cody Thompson saying, hey, we can't just sit back. You're not going to get a lot of golden opportunities or meatballs from these OU pitchers. If you think you see something, jump on it. Little dribbler. May fields her position well.
That was a great hustle play by May. As easy as that ball looks, as a pitcher, defensively having to flip from your glove quickly is not always something that they practice a ton or are very comfortable doing. So good job by May to recognize the speed of that ball, cut it off, and able to flip to Sanders for the out.
So here's May's opposite number this morning, Hallie Morris. She's first pitch swinging, the transfer from the Utah Utes, who we will see later on in this tournament. She began her career here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, where she was all-tournament team, had an outstanding outing against the Texas Longhorns. Always a UT connection, Kat.
Softball world's too small.
No doubt.
There we see the first ball thrown by May, a nice drop ball in the outer half. But as we were talking about pounding the zone, 3 for 3 in first pitch strikes. And as you said, Cody Thompson telling his team to be aggressive early. 2 of those are first pitch swings.
It's funny you mentioned the size of the softball world. Utah Valley has 5 pairs of players that played together before they even got to Utah Valley, whether that's high school or junior college. As big as the sport has gotten and it continues to grow, there are still many ties that bind. May in the driver's seat, and the reprieve for Hallie Morris.
Talking to Cody Thompson about those pairs, he was talking about culture and how every time another athlete, they have potential to pick her up, he asks their teammate how they were as a teammate.
Lifted up, and a little runaway there at the end. Nothing but laughter for the back-to-back champions. Jennings has it, and we get a look at the all-star batting. Year 26 innings pitch. She struck out 17. She will go against Jada Coleman to begin her career as a Wolverine. Coleman watching the first pitch. Allie Morris not afraid to work quickly. You'll see that over the course of all of her starts, even if it's a relief appearance. Her tempo will always be good. That power pitcher since day one in Utah.
The tempo a pitcher works will set the tone for a game, and a lot of times you can tell by a pitcher's tempo if they're getting out of rhythm. It'll get faster or slower. But Coach Thompson talking about the efficiency of Allie Morris, and some of that will come with how quickly she works.
Carried over to Bettencourt in right. Her return from injury starts with an easy grab, and Allie Morris goes 1 for 1 to begin her time as a Wolverine. And we see Ella Parker hit second. Behind her, it'll be Alyssa Brito, Kinsey Hansen, Tiara Jennings. Cassidy Pickering getting the start in right field, the freshman, along with Sid Sanders at first, Avery Hodge, Riley Boone rounding things out for OU. Seeing Morris be vigilant and mindful on the first pitch, working the corners, not giving OU anything they can OU.
Morris and Thompson are going to work and see how far can they get OU to stretch the zone. We've seen her use that drop ball outside for the first 2 pitches here to Parker, but also the first pitch to Jada Coleman. She then went inside and jammed Coleman, but being a little bit careful, probably respecting the power that Ella Parker's known for. Even though she's a freshman, she has hit at an elite level up to this point. And you can see they're respecting that, trying to stay down in the zone to see if they can get her to chase.
A 4-pitch walk begins Ella Parker's time with Oklahoma. Patty Gasso could not have been more excited about the freshman from LA. She's got a tremendous pedigree, a top 5 player, and UVU wants no part of her.
The unfortunate part for Morris and UVU is that the lineup doesn't get any easier behind her with Brito, Hansen, and Jennings.
There are 0 empty spots. Everything is a trap, and that is exactly how Patty Gasso likes it.
We look at this lineup, and 5 seniors anchor it. So for the Wolverines, it's going to be going up against a very experienced lineup who obviously has won 3 national championships, but at the same time seen the best of the best when it comes to who's in the circle.
That would rip back. It's always tough when you've got the video game numbers that OU puts up to identify the strength. The offensive numbers are absurd, like you mentioned, but then you look at what they're capable of in the circle. ERAs routinely at or under 1 for long stretches of the season. This group, the prohibitive favorite to win a national title once again. Morris blown away.
Morris doing a good job of trying to nibble at the corner. That off-speed pitch there, just a little bit low, but OU doing a great job of laying off those pitches that look like they might hit the bottom of the zone. Another great off-speed right there. Look at Brito.
Down swinging, well out in front. And that is Allie Morris's first strikeout as a Wolverine. And it'll be up to Kinsey Hansen to try and salvage this first inning for OU. Behind Morris, it's Hall, Binney, Moreno, and Gibbs, the infield from left to right. Outfield that same direction is Hawker, Mann, and Bettenker. Higuereta doing the catching for her new friend, Hallie Morris.
Corey, we talked about Nicole May pounding the zone, and I feel like Hallie Morris is almost doing the opposite. Not necessarily pounding the zone, but showing OU just enough strikes that they have to be aggressive, but at the same time, not letting them get set.
First stolen base for Ella Parker. Just like that, it's a runner in scoring position for Kinsey Hansen.
We saw when Brito fouled off a pitch that Ella Parker actually was on the move then too, so Coach Gasso was trying to get her in scoring position. With Hallie Morris throwing a lot down and an off-speed pitch, it's going to give OU opportunities to run, whether the ball's in the dirt or just slower, that they can get a couple steps on Higuereta.
And this is the worst case scenario, other than 2 outs. That's the silver lining. It's 3-0. The super senior Kinsey Hansen has an RBI chance.
Let's see Cody Thompson come out, talk with his pitcher a little bit.
Underscoring the importance. You never want to overreact to any one individual inning, especially early on in a contest. But Oklahoma distorts that math a little bit because they're so capable, even with no margin for error as far as outs go, of completely changing a game in a hurry.
Yeah, and I imagine Cody's coming out, one, to calm the nerves just a little bit. Morris has been in this situation, played against some great teams, but it's still Oklahoma. It's still opening game your senior year, being able to calm those nerves. But at the same time, he might just be saying, hey, let's not give Hansen anything great and let her change the bat swing or the game with one swing of the bat, but respecting Tiare Jennings right behind her as well.
You're exactly right. Just throw it low, start over with a fresh count. And it is Tiare Jennings who comes up. Perhaps the greatest player in WCWS history. The Oklahoma product right at home in Oklahoma City. The definition of clutch, and right now she's got a chance with 2 on and 2 down.
It'll be interesting to see as this game goes if Morris can adjust that drop ball. It has some really good down bite, but it's just out of the zone. So her and Higuereta are going to have to work together to try to find the bottom of the zone that the umpire will call.
Six straight outside the zone here. Make it 7. This is what OU does. They put so much pressure on you.
And in this situation, I would almost put Tiare Jennings on and take my chances at Cassidy Pickering. She's a freshman, hasn't had a college at bat yet. Not that it's necessarily going to work in your favor, but the odds are a little more in the favor of Morris in that situation.
2 for 2 in her last 2 predictions. The legend Kat Osterman, it will be the freshman Cassidy Pickering coming up for Oklahoma. A player that Patty Gasso called one of the best outfielders in the country and an unquestioned leader. You got to be pretty special to start in this lineup as a freshman. And we've already seen 2 of them here for OU.
When you asked Coach Gasso who to look for other than her normal names, she did. She said Cassidy Pickering has really been making noise in the fall and early this spring in their team scrimmages. And as you mentioned, that's a hard lineup to break into.
There's always a danger in evaluating too much on fall ball, but when you've got this OU staff around it, you can take the battle series as near gospel. And so Pickering excelling there likely means good things. She drives that one into left center field. Cassidy Pickering goes yard. Her first OU Oklahoma is this? In the first inning of the season, the Sooners go wrong.
Going after Pickering was not a bad idea, but Hallie Morris needed to work ahead. Pickering takes this drop inside, actually slices it a little bit to left center field. But what a way to break through as a freshman for this Oklahoma lineup. First at bat, a grand slam.
4 RBI in one swing for Cassidy Pickering. 2 quick outs, and Oklahoma does it again. 4-0 Sooners. Unbelievable, and yet completely believable for the Sooners.
Something the Sooners are really good at is even when, or I should say, when they're ahead in the count, they're not waiting for you to throw a strike. They're expecting you to throw a strike. So they're ready to swing regardless of how far ahead they are in the count. And that's why even against Hansen and Jennings, when you're 3-0, you still have to be careful because they have the green light to swing if that pitch is in the zone. And right there, Morris got ahead of Pickering with pitch 1, but getting behind 2-1, Pickering knew she was going to have to come to her because you weren't going to walk her to walk in a run.
It's Sanders on that one. She drives it into left. 4 straight base runners after the second out for Oklahoma.
Now batting second baseman number 82, Avery Hodge.
The 2
Avery
at-bats
Hodge
that Morris has
going.
worked ahead have been outs.
You're right.
Jada Coleman, she had her 1-2, and Alyssa Brito, they were even 2-2.
Trying to lay down the bunt. The Sooners up 4-0, but they will continue to employ the full offensive toolkit. The sophomore Hodge, mostly a pinch runner last year, but getting the opening nod today for Patty Gasso's team.
Coach Gasso mentioned over there at second base, there was a 3-way fight to figure out who's going to be in this lineup, and a lot of times it'll just be matchups. Hodge, Lilo, and Torres all fighting to get into this lineup over there at second base.
What a luxury it is to have that level of depth, but there is no question that Oklahoma does. Two balls, 2 strikes, and a 4-0 Sooner lead. Run it full. Boy, if that's not the summation of this first frame. Oklahoma battling back, continuing to put themselves in prime position. Payoff pitch to Avery Hodge is in there for strike 3. So the inning comes to an end, but not before Cassidy. Frankly, the only way that you can play Oklahoma, particularly as a mid-major. Even if you're Power 5, you still probably have to take that exact same mindset.
I think that's the one thing Oklahoma has always been good at is it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. They're still going to play the game as if it's 0-0. And there will be times that as a pitcher, you might experiment with a pitch or something in a situation where you can, but the intensity that they play with is not reliant on what the score is.
That's such a difficult thing to foster too, especially when you do get up and control the game. It's so easy to check out and say, all right, cool, throw it on cruise control. And how many times in the sport of softball have we seen a massive comeback as a result? Right up a shoot towards the fans here at Nancy Amaraz Stadium.
Oh, even with some breathing room, Nicole May still coming out, just pounding the zone. And really, if you want to take a pitch count off a pitcher's arm, the sooner they can, obviously, the sooner they can get 2 strikes, the better. But Nicole May taking that to a different level today. Hasn't been behind a hitter yet after 2 pitches.
The sooner you get to 2 strikes, pun intended there.
Just a little.
May, just a little, never hurts. A tendency to be unrelenting in these spots. A couple of perfect games to her credit, 7 no-hitters. You can get up big and she just gives you nothing, even as a result.
And the advantage Nicole May has is she has so many different looks. You'll see her go up in the zone. She can work both sides laterally with a curve and a screw. We haven't had to see a ton of off speed from her yet in this game, but she has that in her back pocket as well. And as I mentioned in the first inning, she's not overpowering, so you don't walk up and see her throw and be wide-eyed of the speed she brings, but she's able to locate and spin the ball so well.
Angelique Mann giving her a battle, but it's a laser to Sid Sanders.
Sydney Sanders with the catch and out number 1. Now batting first baseman number 23, Megan Gibbs.
Tough luck out there for Mann, and here's Megan Gibbs. Hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's how to attack it. The communication has to be good here for UVU. Tough to lay off that.
Nicole May going rise ball first pitch, knowing Megan Gibbs is the best returning hitter in this lineup. As you mentioned, though, Corey, the information being passed down, and Utah Valley is doing a good job of taking their hacks, making Nicole May throw some extra pitches with a lot of foul balls, just unsuccessful in breaking through for a hit yet.
Gibbs, an incredibly strong player, figuratively and quite literally. A top 10 UVU home run season last year. And that's where, when you're a pitcher going up against that power hitter, you lean on that rise ball a little more because it looks like a home run coming out of the hand, and then by the time it gets to the plate, it sure isn't.
That's 3 straight rise balls from Nicole May to Gibbs.
Put that one a little lower in the zone, and it's no issue for Avery Hodge.
Avery Hodge with the catch for the second out.
This Oklahoma defense always in the right place at the right time. Sid Sanders able to snag that line drive for the first out and Hodge for that second. If you're UVU, a little bit of frustration knowing that you squared up a couple balls and haven't been able to have a runner on base.
It's got to give you such confidence if you're Nicole May, knowing what you have behind you. Even if one does have a little momentum behind it, it doesn't matter because in addition to the massive run support you're going to get, the defense is elite for OU.
The defense is elite. The way they shift, they're always, as I mentioned, in the right place. But at the same time, someone gets a hold of one, and usually there's a play made with a diving catch, a great throw, something. So Oklahoma plays all sides of the ball extremely well.
A stick, nasty rise ball. Already in a May form, even though it's only February. So Hallie Morris goes back to work, trying to finish what she started in the first. 2 quick outs before the Oklahoma rally. And she will step back for a moment before her first pitch to Riley Boone. And there's that critical first pitch strike.
first pitch strike. We didn't see that a lot in the first inning. Sometimes being effectively wild can be in your favor, but Morris getting too many 3-ball counts, especially 3-0 counts in that first inning.
No chance. Deadened in the perfect spot. The bunt artist, Riley Boone, adds another brushstroke.
Next up for Oklahoma, center fielder, number 24, Jada Coleman.
OU's going to pull out all the tools. We saw Hodge try to bunt. Riley Boone starting off this inning with a bunt single. There are 5 lefties in this lineup for Oklahoma. They're going to use every tool they possibly can.
It's wild, isn't it? I mean, there are teams all across the country that have maybe one, and OU can just throw so many different looks at you. They can bring a lefty into the circle as well. There's plenty of teams that can't do that at all. It's remarkable, the talent collection that Patty Gasso has put together here in her 30th year.
Hit and run action there by the Sooners. Riley Boone on the move, and we saw Jada Coleman trying to make sure she protected with that ball low and in as she slapped, something we don't see Jada Coleman do very often.
Coleman turned on that one. It was a little bit early.
Start the game off, Jada Coleman had a deep fly ball there in right field, that same pitch that Morris just offered her. Able to flatten it out that time, but still, as you mentioned early, pulling it hard foul.
That's a good breaking ball for Morris and even better discipline for Jada Coleman.
OU is showing a lot of discipline. They have not chased a pitch out of the zone, in my opinion, so far in this game, other than Jada Coleman having to protect on that hit and run.
Coleman manages to find the gap anyway. Boone flying around the bases. She goes to third. Sooners at the corners.
Now batting the designated player, number 5, Ella Parker.
Ella Parker was the opening base runner for Oklahoma in this game. She now comes up in a very different spot. RBI chance with Coleman and Boone at first and third. And she's looking to show bunt. Sooners getting crafty.
Well, Coach Gasso is going to take any opportunity to work on the small things. Everyone knows OU can hit. They've shown that so far in this game even, and there's plate discipline. But down the line, they're going to need to be able to move runners, occasionally bunt, so taking the opportunity to do that early. But I have a hunch she wasn't really asking Ella Parker to bunt as much as just show bunt to see what the defense is going to do on a first and third play.
Coleman took second behind that action. So great eye candy, and it's ripped into center. Boone scores easily. Coleman comes home. 2 RBI for Ella Parker. Her first as a member of OU. And miscues all around. Oh boy. You cannot do that against Oklahoma. Ella Parker creates chaos, scores, and it's 7-0 Oklahoma.
Ella Parker takes this outside pitch just up the middle. You know Jada Coleman's going to be on the move. But Ella Parker heading to second on the throw home and miscues. And Patty Gasso going ahead and sending her all the way around as that ball ends up into the deep outfield. The Wolverines of Utah Valley going to have to regroup here.
Going to have some errors early on in the year, but that one comes at the most inopportune time. And how about this? For your career debut, the freshman Avery Sapp will come in against an Oklahoma lineup up 7.
Coach Thompson going ahead, giving the switch to Sapp. She's going to be very opposite of Morris. She's going to be more up in the zone, rise curve, use that changeup a little more. The interesting piece that, Corey, we talked with Cody Thompson early, and he said Holly Morris, her efficiency is her strength because she gets a lot of ground balls. We didn't see hardly any ground balls off the bat of the Oklahoma Sooners against Morris. So look for Avery Sapp's speed and speed change to maybe be a difference maker and keep them a little bit more off balance than Morris was able to do.
Brito standing in for Oklahoma. It's the two-time Utah Gatorade Player of the Year. There's going to be a lot of recruiting battles between Utah and Utah Valley, and the Wolverines able to keep the local talent on the Wolverine side here with Avery Sapp. Two. Good job to resist temptation for Brito. Snap payoff, elevated into right field, a whole lot of carry, and there it is for Alyssa Brito. Work the count full, wait for your pitch. Brito sends it long.
I've mentioned a couple times in this game how good OU is, especially when they're ahead in the count. And they know with 3 balls, pitchers aren't trying to walk you, especially in this situation. A new pitcher, no one on. She's going to go after you. Brito, aggressive on that outer half and able to drive that ball over the right center field fence. The Utah Valley pitchers still unable to get in a rhythm where they're working ahead in the count. They're having to throw really good strikes to this Sooner lineup because of the deep counts they're getting into.
Brito tied for the home run lead. And that one given a ride to left. Back-to-back jacks for Oklahoma. Two of the best to ever do it in an OU uniform. There you go.
I'm trying to use her rise ball a little bit there on the inner half, and really this home run is the strength of Kinsey Hansen. I don't know that she even really got all of that, but she has so much strength and power, kind of muscles that one out over the right field fence.
Kinsey, top 10 all time in home runs. She's had that strength for a long time in her Sooner career. And here's Tiare Jennings, still no outs recorded here in this bottom of the second. We talk about video game numbers for OU. I think none may be more unreal than this. They've won 53 straight games and certainly seem on the doorstep of their 54th in a row.
Well, the way they can compete on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, especially in the circle, it just makes them such a force in the softball world. And everyone has been trying to play catch up to them for the last couple years.
Tiare lifts that one. The foul territory. You mentioned everyone trying to play catch up. It sometimes is remarkable how far ahead they can be at times, even against light competition. Last year, right here on Flow Softball, it was OU UCLA at Mary Nutter. 1 versus 2, massive hype coming in. MLB Network streams the game alongside us here at Flow, and OU simply makes it look easy. So does Tiara Jennings. She's going to first.
They make it look easy, but you would think, looking at their lineup, OU has 10 seniors this year,
Next up for the Sooners, right fielder,
5 of which are in the lineup right now, 6 if you count Nicole May. So there's 4 others. So you think, oh, they're going to graduate 10. They're going into the SEC. Are they worried? Well, I wouldn't be worried when your 3 freshmen or your 2 freshmen in the lineup right now have been your run producers.
Right. And here is Cassidy Pickering, who is currently batting 1,000 in her Oklahoma career, slugging 4,000, and is currently on pace to average 4 RBI in every single at-bat.
That might be a tall task to live up to, but what a way to start your career in an Oklahoma uniform.
Tall tasks to live up to may be the OU motto. She's not going to quite do that, but you won't be surprised when Cassidy Pickering's career comes to an end a long time from now. And she has contributions that boggle the mind. Zap battling back to 3-2.
I have to imagine when Avery Sapp went in, there were some nerves. You get through the first batter, even though it was a home run, and try to reset, but you can tell that she's not having the control Cody Thompson said she's used to having. Usually pounds the zone, able to use her rise ball and changeup to get out, but right now having to use this changeup as her strike pitch.
Chopped up. That did the job. UVU needed that. Try and stem the tide here.
play, 2 outs. Now batting, first baseman number
A
1.
big
So
ground
Sid
ball
Sanders
right
with
there
you down.
for Sapp.
Sanders right up a shoot. And there are the first few outs of Avery Sapp's career. They do come in short order, but not before Oklahoma adds 5 runs on 5 hits, shortens the schedule of this game.
Going, they're not being completely dominated. They are taking some good swings, getting some balls in play. They haven't been able to break through for that first hit.
This will be the bottom part of the order for the first time for UVU. One successful base runner and they can flip this lineup for the first time. That has to be the goal. Right now you're trying to get experience. You will not, in all likelihood, see another pitcher of this caliber for the remainder of your schedule, just about. Utah Valley's got a tough run in this tournament, so they may see it, within the next 48 hours. But at the end of the day, it is about challenging yourself here so the WAC, a very good league, looks easier by comparison.
Yeah, when you face the best of the best, when you go into conference, a lot of times those pitchers will look not as dominant as a pitching coach. I've done that. I went and threw rise balls at my athletes to where when they saw whoever we were facing that week, it didn't look as jumpy. And so they were able to make the adjustments. But Cody Thompson talking about he wants his team to figure out what it's going to take to be able to win and to be able to compete with the best. And I don't know that he thought they were going to get that right out of the gate this season when they originally signed up for this tournament, but they've got it.
How about this slate for Utah Valley here in Puerto Vallarta? They've got Iowa State later today. Nicole Mendez and I will have that game. And then on Friday, the Washington Huskies, one of the best pitching duos anywhere in America, and wrap it up against Nebraska. Another incredibly deep pitching staff, and maybe even you see another Oklahoma pitcher in that game. Who knows, depending on how it rolls for the Huskers. Across the diamond, Brito and Sanders.
This tournament's going to provide so much good softball, but as a pitcher myself, the pitching matchups are just what excite me. You talk about it, Nicole May on this staff, Kelly Maxwell on this staff, as well as the other pitchers that Coach Gasso has been able to recruit and add. But you have Ruby Malin with Washington. Talk about Duke's staff, and as you mentioned, Nebraska with Jordy Ball. There will be some really good matchups for an early season tournament.
We don't know for sure just yet, but the nightcap slated, in theory, to be Jordy versus Ruby, a pair of former prep teammates and two of the best in the country going at it. Pickering just made that look easy.
Yeah, Pickering in just a little bit shallow. Peyton Hall put a good barrel on that ball. And again, Utah Valley probably a little frustrated. That's the second or third line drive they've had that has just gone right at an Oklahoma Sooner. Talking about Pickering in right field, Corey, when we were talking about the defense at the beginning of the game, Riley Boone held down right field for a good part of last season. Interesting to see they moved Boone to left and put Pickering in right as opposed to leaving Boone in right and filling left field.
Going to be so many different variations for this Oklahoma team. That's a high chop, got through, and that's enough. How about Lainey Bettenker? Her return, missing all of last year with an injury, and she's got the first hit of the season for UVU.
Well, Bettenker going right after that first pitch. Nicole May has been utilizing the outside corner against Utah Valley quite a bit, especially their lefties. She doesn't do too much. She just bounces that high enough, and she has the speed. Good placement, but I feel like even if Jennings or Hodge were able to get to that ball, she was going to be safe at first.
Binny sent one to Riley Boone her last time up. Boone looked like the veteran out there and left.
You see Benny trying to get on the top of that ball and bounce it the same way Bettenker did. Chasing the rise ball, and the angle of that gets Kinsey Hansen right above the shin guard. That's never comfortable for a catcher. In fact, probably the worst angle for them to get hit at.
Fortunately, looks like all smiles between May and Hansen. But you love the sign of respect. Call time. Gather yourself for a moment. Ryan Critchett, our home plate umpire here this morning, respecting the woman protecting him in Kinsey Hansen. Drops in foul territory for Benny.
Do like Utah Valley's approach. They are aggressive. I think their strike zone discipline needs a little bit of work. They're chasing a couple pitches out of the zone, especially as lefty slappers right now.
Your point. Went after one. And Nicole May.
Good situation. So to get a lot of her, I don't even want to say bench players because they could be starters any day now, but her reserves for this game, some opportunities, allowing everybody to get a number of at-bats early in season.
Had to deal with a back injury last year that limited her to 4 games played. Was mostly a pinch runner in her freshman year.
Early in season, Corey, so many coaches can take different approaches. You can take the approaches, which OU will probably do, try to get everybody some at-bats, some experience, so that way as they move on, they can have players that have been in moments to be able to pinch hit, pinch run. Or there's some where they're going to have a lineup. They want that lineup to get confidence, to gel, and they're just going to stick with it. So it'll be interesting as this tournament progresses to see how each program approaches this first tournament.
That will come in and plunk Hannah Core. So she won't actually add to that collegiate at-bat total, but is a productive plate appearance, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it on her hand right now. A leadoff base runner for the Sooners.
For Oklahoma, number 40, Alina Torres.
And here comes Alina Torres. We may be seeing a parade of new names here for Petty Gasso's team. Here's the senior and transfer from Arizona State.
Torres, one of those three athletes fighting for second base, Hodge, Torres, and Lilo.
Another clutch player in Oklahoma City for the Sooners last year. Played about 130 games at ASU. Comes to Norman. And then hits 500 at the Women's College World Series.
That's not always an easy adjustment for an athlete to make, being an everyday player. And then you transfer somewhere to where now, yes, you're competing for a national title, but you're no longer the everyday player, and having to adjust to that role, to coming off the bench sometimes, or being the athlete that gives a middle infielder a rest on certain days.
Payoff pitch sent foul. It also calls into the direct spotlight what's going to be one of the biggest storylines in the sport this year, where we're talking about Arizona State out west, the Pac-12, Oklahoma dominating the Big 12. And those two will both be in different leagues next year. That is well done by Alina Torres. Core goes to third. The Oklahoma machine continues to churn.
Sap using that changeup low and in. Torres just able to barrel it up hard enough off the glove of Binney there in shortstop. Oklahoma's not going to miss hit many balls to be able to work ahead and stretch, and I think that's been the one downfall right now out of Utah Volley's staff, is constantly working from behind and letting OU have a lot of looks at their arms.
Says a lot about how much Patty Gasso loves Jada Coleman. She will stay in the game here.
Jada Coleman is the heartbeat of this program. She leads off, she plays center field, she makes the big play. You're seeing credit for her teammates all the time. So when you have someone of that caliber, not just talent-wise, but emotionally, you're going to leave them in the game. Unless it's really a time where you really need to get somebody an extra at bat, but this early in season, she's going to let Jada Coleman go.
Coleman sends that up and out. Jada Coleman, such an incredible story in so many ways, but she's a perfect example of NIL being used the way that it's supposed to be. She takes a chunk of her NIL earnings and donates it to Look Good, Feel Better, an organization that helped her mom while she was battling with breast cancer. So much is made of NIL, and it's demonized by a lot of folks because it does, in a lot of ways, make college sports feel professional. But ultimately, it can be a very, very good thing, not only for athletes, but for athletes to do great things with it. That's exactly what Jada Coleman has done. Coleman. Wasn't even a bad pitch, and it doesn't matter one bit. Torres and Core cross. Oklahoma goes into double figures here in game one.
Coleman's hand-eye coordination is elite. As you mentioned, not a bad pitch there, a changeup almost in the dirt, but she's able to barrel that up, drive that down the first baseline. 2 RBIs for her, another base hit. But you see Jada Coleman hit a lot of bad balls when she needs to, and that's all just being able to have barrel control and get the barrel to the ball regardless of if it's in or out of the zone.
Ella Parker has not been retired today. Walk, run scored, and then a 2 RBI single where she would come around to cross on the error. Two one drop, 3-1. And if you're Utah Valley, you can't let this get you down. Oklahoma does this a lot. You have to take it for what it is, understand it's a chance to get better. And at the end of the day, get ready for your matchup with Iowa State, which will come before the end of today. That'll be at 3 Mountain for the Wolverines as Ella Parker has her second collegiate walk.
Yeah, I'd imagine Cody Thompson will take a look at the counts that his pitchers worked, how often they were ahead and behind, and kind of make that the focus going into their next game. Against good offenses, you cannot put them in hitters' counts, and they've done that a lot with Oklahoma here. As I've mentioned a few times, it doesn't matter what the count is. The Sooners have a green light, and they'll take advantage of any pitch in the zone.
That one's in tight to Alyssa Brito. You mentioned UVU taking a look at everything. They've adopted Synergy for their data analytics, something we're seeing more and more in the sport. Overall, the softball world has gotten smarter about itself, and the scouting, the self-evaluation, and the opponent intelligence as good as it has ever been in the sport.
Almost every Power 5 program uses Synergy, and now a lot of the mid-majors, Group 5s, they're starting to adopt it as well because they see how much of an asset it can be, not just for your opponents, but for yourself, as you mentioned. And this game in particular, Cody Thompson will be able to go back, easily pull up the pitches he needs to review with his pitchers. But he talked about it. They're enjoying it as a staff, but they're also trying not to overload themselves with it and not give their athletes paralysis by analysis and too much information.
Bases are full for Kinsey Hansen here. Last time we saw this, Pickering had a grand slam in her first collegiate at bat. Riley Ludlam into the game, replacing Hansen. She watches ball one. The Furman transfer, one of the best players in the SoCon the last few years and the reigning player of the year. The rich get richer. Another big piece for OU. Potentially adding some depth behind the plate. She's played a little short in her career as well. An all-around athlete. Ludlam sends that one into foul territory. Warhol waits, finding ways to be productive even without. Sacrifice fly scores Coleman.
But you mentioned the depth behind the plate that she offers. Oklahoma looked like they were going to be deep at the catcher's position, but they had Lindsey Elam and Jocelyn Erickson both transfer out after last year. So she was a big pickup for them to have depth. Otherwise, Kinsey Hansen would pretty much be it back there for the Sooners. But Coach Gasso allowing more athletes to get some at-bats, get their feet wet, get their careers started here in a Sooner uniform.
And that sac fly.
Out, and now Cam Davis getting her opportunity. She's going to be a little more spinny, a lot more curves than we saw from both Morris and Sapp.
Trying to use deception as a tool against the Sooners. Good idea to miss bats, though the discipline by Oklahoma has been just as good as it's been in back-to-back-to-back national championships. Case in point, Tiare Jennings quickly up 2-0.
Well, Tiare Jennings, and if Cassidy Pickering stays in the lineup right now, we'll have 3 at-bats against 3 different pitchers for Utah Valley. Cody Thompson, being a pitcher in his own right, knows how well you can keep hitters off balance if you change speeds, change the eyes, in this case, change the arms. But again, they have to go out and be able to attack the zone for that to be effective.
First strike of Cam Davis's Wolverine career. It's a pretty loud message, though, from Cody Thompson. Not really interested in pitching to Tiare Jennings. She's 1 ball away from beginning this game with 3 straight walks. And there it is.
In the first inning, I would have agreed with in the first inning, I would have agreed with avoiding Jennings in that situation. Pickering did make it pay off with a grand slam, but I would have any day as a pitcher and a pitching coach taken my chances with a freshman over a senior. But the other 2 walks are chances that Utah Valley has a chance to possibly get an out, but they're just not challenging the Sooner lineup early in the count, letting themselves get deep and allowing OU to get comfortable in the box.
It is kind of remarkable, though. We talk about the growth of the Synergy platform. Freshmen have such an advantage because they haven't recorded those collegiate at-bats and don't necessarily know where the cold zones are as opposition. That's why we're seeing more and more freshmen really excel in the sport. Duke is a perfect example. We'll be seeing them after the conclusion of this one. That one skips away, but everyone stays at station.
Energy goes both ways, though, too. As a freshman pitcher, you have no scouting report or no stats. No one knows where you like to locate the ball, how often you throw your off-speed pitch. So for freshmen, the scouting piece is still about the same as it was years ago. It's just a matter of how quickly do people adapt.
Sacrifice fly for Cassidy Pickering. She will pick up RBI number 5 here in her very first game as a Sooner. And Eddie Gasso will enter Quincy Lilo into the game. Leo, excuse me. If Lilio reaches base, Oklahoma will have batted around here in the 3rd inning. We'll see Hannah Kaur for a second time, who is still technically a pinch hitter, as that is how she began the frame.
Four pinch hitters for Coach Gasso, and so far 3 of them have paid off.
Quincy looks like she might as well. Driver's seat, 3-1. Comes in and grabs her. She's thinking ball 4 would have been just fine. And Hannah Kaur comes up for a second time.
Yeah, 3-1 count. I think she'd much rather ball 4 than something coming up and in at her.
Now batting for the
Yep.
Sooners, number 27, Hannah Kaur.
Hannah Kaur was another hit by pitch victim. That was how she began this third inning. Now she gets to go with the bases loaded.
It'll be interesting to see how quickly Cody Thompson can get his pitching staff back on track.
Kaur drives it into right. Bettencourt corrals it. Still another productive at-bat. All across the inning for the Oklahoma Sooners. Just continuing to find ways. And even as that one goes, it is OU by a lot. 13-0.
From a highly rated and highly recruited pitcher in their class, OU was able to smart her. And as you mentioned, she did get innings in the super regionals, so she got some experience against a big-time program in a big-time environment. I'd expect to see her getting more of those opportunities this season.
That's a perfect bunt by Brittany Moreno. She's got her first hit of the season.
Next up for Utah Valley, number 22, Hallie Morris.
Brittany Moreno taking advantage of a lefty pitcher there with Sid Sanders staying back. Deal's going to have to be able to get over there quick, get around the ball to make a throw. Moreno with decent speed, able to hug the line with that bunt and beat it out.
Hallie Morris gets her second AB. Just trying to get Utah Valley on the board here. Our fourth inning of currently scheduled 5. Thanks to OU's early success. Hallie lifts, and it drops just in front of Jada Coleman. An Oklahoma miscue. Gives Hallie Morris and the Wolverines a chance.
Uncharacteristic miscue there, not only by Jada Coleman. You heard her calling off the middle infielders. She was shading the sun with her glove, so imagine the angle of the sun played a part in that. But also the throw to second. They had Moreno because she had to hesitate if Jada Coleman did catch that. But the throw to second off a little bit as well, allowing Utah Valley with their first threat of the game.
Coleman started this game in center. You'd almost understand if it was Kaur, who's now in left. She just entered, but that one just squirts away. Every team will make mistakes, even the champions. Endling Mann gets ready to enter here for the Wolverines. The other defensive change for you, by the way, Ludlam doing the catching now behind the plate. And Torres playing second base.
Number 9, Taylor Wooten. Now batting, 00, Angelique Mann.
Taylor Wooten's also the runner.
Coach Thompson using the most out of that flex position. He did say that when Hallie Morris is in the lineup to hit, that whoever is in the flex will be able to run.
That one right up a shoot. And no issue this time for Kiara Jennings.
Now batting for Utah Valley, first baseman number 23, Megan Gibbs.
I'd expect the message from Cody Thompson to his offense this inning was not so much that they have to make up a 13-run lead, but more let's end this game with some momentum. Let's offensively make some noise, be a little bit more disciplined. That way they carry some momentum going into the rest of the day.
Just want to get that 0 off the score column. That one giving a ride into right, and it drops. A hold at third. The bases are full of Wolverines.
The Wolverines have been fairly aggressive most of this game right now. The hardest hits haven't fallen for them, but Megan Gibbs gets just enough of that one to flare over second base into right field. Cody Thompson, knowing the defense that the Sooners put out there, not chancing it by sending Wooten home. But every inning, I think the Wolverines have added to their offense and looking to break through now in the fourth.
Yeah, we talk about momentum, right? And you can certainly feel that building here for UVU. But you need to cash it in if you're the Wolverines to get ready for that matchup with the Cyclones later today.
Innings left if you play regulation. So Cody Thompson really probably just trying to swing the momentum in their favor, end on a high note. I know as a coach, that would be my message, would just be like, let's get something going. If we can chip away a little bit, that's great, but we put up some good at bats. That way offensively, there's momentum going into that Iowa State game.
For my money, the best pitching coach in America, talking to Kirsten Deal right now. Jen Rocha did it at Florida. He's now doing it at Oklahoma. As good as it gets in that mental space for pitchers, which, as you know, Kat, can be really challenging, and so good on the physical side of it as well. Brown in control right now, and she sends it straight back. The College of Southern Idaho product. Looking for her first RBI, a bases loaded chance. Deal comes with velo. Nasty. Even when Kirsten Deal gets into trouble, she finds a way out of it. Brown down swinging.
That's a great response by Kirsten Deal after the timeout from Jen Rocha. As you mentioned, the best pitching coach in the country. She has proven that she can handle pitchers well, but the conversation in that timeout probably was telling Deal to take a deep breath. What pitch do you feel like's worked? To attack with that right away. Here's the game plan after, and Kirsten Deal executed that to perfection.
One more freshman entry in a big spot for Utah Valley. Amber Rodriguez put it in play. Brito was right on it. Utah Valley leaves the bases loaded.
Number 40, Elena Torres.
Paige Armandari is the new pitcher here for Utah Valley. She goes against Lena Torres.
Well, you mentioned Coach Thompson getting his freshmen in during this game, but he's allowing all of his staff to get some innings, get in there, compete, probably knock off the cobwebs and get the nerves out as well.
Armandari's primarily a hitter, but did pitch a bit last year. 5 appearances. Totaled 8 1/3 innings pitched. 6 Ks, 2 walks. This 9th spot's been good. A single, double, and a base on balls to hand it back to Jada Coleman.
Now batting for Oklahoma, number 24, Jada Coleman.
I think the impressive piece has been OU's patience at the plate. Granted, some of the walks that they've taken, pitches haven't really been close around the zone, but they really have gotten deep in counts and not gone chasing pitches because they're eager to add to the hit total. If I count correctly, I believe it's 8 free passes, 6 walks, and 2 hit by pitches from the Wolverine staff.
Taking advantage of opportunity. And with Oklahoma, there tends to be a lot of it. Coleman will be patient there. No reason not to be. Coleman. Straight to Rodriguez.
Amber Rodriguez with the catch and the first out. Now batting, number 5, Ella Parker.
Brings in Ella Parker. It's interesting. We were talking earlier about the growth of synergy and how it plays that freshman to sophomore year. The Duke Blue Devils in our next game here on Flow Softball are going to be a case study in that. I mean, you're talking about freshman records in the ACC. set by Duke across the board these last couple of years, and even last year specifically in the ACC tournament. So watching those players grow into their second year, or in some cases sophomore to junior, it's going to be a fascinating case study in the sport. And all the while, probably make a Duke team that was already pretty good even better.
Yeah, it'll see if sophomore slump is a real thing, if Duke can combat that with the freshmen that had such an impactful rookie campaign.
Parker down swinging. Mandari's first strikeout of the season. And Brito representing potentially the final hitter of the game here for Oklahoma. And she won't make it quiet. A hard hit ball straight at Moreno. But an excellent recovery by Moreno and Gibbs. Exactly what her career had in store. She'll face Peyton Hall. A pair of newcomers. Monticelli to OU and the freshman Hall to UVU. She's going after the first pitch she sees.
Monticelli going to be a lot up in the zone. Curveball, screwball, rise ball there. First pitch to Peyton Hall.
Speaking up in the zone, there it is.
Utah Valley, having been aggressive most of the game, they're going to have some plate discipline, know where the top of the strike zone is against Monticelli.
Just enough to stay alive. Peyton Hall probably going to play a lot of third bases here, according to Cody Thompson. Likes the freshman a lot and thrusts her into one of the more difficult positions on the diamond. The hot corner. In that forged by fire approach from Utah Valley, that's a grab for Parker.
Emma Parker with the catch for out number 1.
Lainey Bettencourt did have the first hit for Utah Valley. This is her spot in the order, but looks like we're not going to see her. Everybody getting a chance here for the Wolverines. Understandably so. These are valuable, valuable reps against this Oklahoma pitching staff. And we see Sage Nielsen step into the game. A hometown kid, went to college at Southern Idaho, wanted to get back to Utah, and has done just that.
Similar to what Coach Gasso's doing on the reverse side, allowing pinch hitters to get in the game, as you said, face some really good pitching to where that pays off hopefully later in season for your program. If I'm Cody Thompson, though, I'm not disappointed in my offense in this game. You have a few hits and no runs to show for it, but the way they've approached the Oklahoma staff really has impressed me. They haven't looked like they're scared in the box whatsoever. They came out aggressive, didn't have hits to pay for it, like I said, but they definitely took their hacks.
Good grab. Brito up against the fence. One of the more versatile players in the country. She'll play any position you ask her to, and all right there, extremely comfortable. Two down.
Pitch hitter number 10, Emma Haygood.
And Emma Haygood comes to bear for UVU. One of Cody Thompson's first recruits trying to get in the way. Wolverines down to their final strike.
There you see the 2 swings by Haygood. She's just overpowered by the speed that Monticelli is throwing. Not able to catch up to it.
If there was any concerns about rust or complacency, we can go ahead and throw those completely out the window. A dominating win for the Oklahoma Sooners. Strikeout for Monticelli, her first as a member of this Oklahoma Sooner team that has now won 54 games in a row. And the chase for 8 begins with 1-0. Now, though, OU gets ready for a big one. It's the Sooners and the Blue Devils coming up in just a little bit here on